All right, welcome to another edition of the For Real Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Willis, aka Mr. Willis Closed It. To my right, I have Miss Sheridan McCorkle.
Hey.
To my left, I have Miss Amani.
I thought you was gonna keep going.
Thank you guys, like I said, once again, tuning in to another episode. It definitely means the world to us. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify. I mean, wherever you think you can find podcasts,
LinkedIn,
we are there.
I'm just playing.
Might need to be on LinkedIn.
MySpace.
Hey, Mark, that was my guy.
Black
man.
Planet.
Mark ain't doing us justice like MySpace, man. MySpace, I felt like I was learning code at an early age.
Man.
I don't even know what it is, but I know
I used to
got
swear I was gonna be a web developer.
We
they
really
used-
should have been getting paid for what we doing.
They got free labor out of it because we kept popping, and then you changing up the top friends and everything like that. That's how you knew, you was beefing with somebody when you left their top friends. I'm like, okay, that's what we doing.
I for some reason cannot remember like the stuff on MySpace, but I can't remember everything on Black
I
Planet.
ever had
Black
a
Planet.
MySpace.
Oh, that's where I met my wife.
You didn't have a MySpace?
I think I came in like with the Facebook era, or I just skipped completely over to MySpace and went straight to the Facebook.
Hey, you
era.
missed that on Black Planet. That's where I found my wife.
Black Planet was lit.
That's where I met my wife.
Man,
Met her on there.
Really?
Yeah,
Dang.
we met on Black Planet.
people do not give Black Planet enough credit. Black Planet was social media before anybody ever
Social
thought
media
about it.
before the social media.
Everything on
Yes.
there.
Do you remember
Yeah.
like back in the day on Black Planet? Like back in the day, they would have that fake little two-way pager for chat on the screen.
Oh yeah. On the screen, yeah. I'm about to say fake two-way page. I'm like, I used to have a real two-way page.
But it was like just a graphic of a two-way pager, and when you would chat on there, it looked like you was talking to somebody on two-way pager.
yeah.
Anyway.
We good times.
We old.
Hey, a little bit. Hey, I'm still in my prime though. I'm still in my prime. But we want to just kind of catch up. I mean, like I said, we record as often as we can, so I always like to kind of see, what do y'all got going on business wise? I know Miss Amani last week talked to you, joined Miss Sheridan's her team. How's that working out so far?
It's great. I feel like it's giving me more structure because as a realtor, it's real easy to kind of like procrastinate on things or just not do them at all, or just kind of be like, it's really easy to kind of lack that discipline a little bit when you're self-employed and so I feel like being on a team gives me a little bit more guidance because I have, we don't get too much guidance where it's like you have to do this, you have to do that, but it's like, you guys should do this by this date or, come to this meeting on this date. So I feel like it makes me feel more involved and like I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing and reaching the goals that I've set. Because I could set goals and, forget about them, where I got shared in like, hey, y'all, make sure that y'all, make sure y'all do this. Make sure y'all, I need this by Friday or whatever. So it definitely makes me feel more accountable and, just really do what I'm supposed to be doing.
I mean, I understand that. I mean, I've never been on a team, in the
Me neither.
many years. And so that, like, for me, I don't know, like, because I've always equated that as someone telling you what to do, and I'm like, I got to be in real estate so I could be for myself. I don't really want to have somebody, but having that accountability part, I will say, with my wife getting licensed has really helped me be a little bit more accountable because there's certain things like the company offer. Because I'm like, man, I'm a free spirit. I fly by, whatever. But she was like, they got this going. I'm like, oh, do they? I'm like, oh, do they?
I didn't even
like,
read that.
I didn't know. She was like, when you signed on, you get X, Y, and Z, and they do this and this and this. I'm like, oh, do they? I'm like, because
Y'all good team.
I'm like, because I've been at
Y'all should start
6
a team.
companies. I've been at 6 real estate companies in the 7 years I've been licensed. And some of them I was there really quick, and I knew that it wasn't gonna work out, so I was out of there quick. And then now I feel like where I'm at first class, it's definitely been helping me out with having not only the support, but the structure, like you said, and then also the back end support too with the admin teams and
Shout out to First Class.
Hey man, hey, shout out to Ryan and David, man. Miss Sheridan, so how's it now transitioning to more now of a team leader role?
It's a learning curve. I've never been on a team. So I've always kind of been in leadership management roles naturally. It has been fun because I'm not gonna lie, I had kind of lost my juice with selling. And so it's kind of fun to see like Imani be excited about this or that, or I'm gonna do it this way, I'm gonna do it that way. And I'm like, I never thought to do that. And it's just fun to see how I've been calling them in my head the freshman class. How my freshman agents are like just blowing my mind and.
But your dad is one too, right?
Yeah, my dad is one. We have a new team member. I'm bringing her on Wednesday.
Oh, yay.
Yes, excited. So it's just fun kind of seeing how they're excited for it. And it's kind of firing me up again. And it's making me want to be sure I'm still moving to create opportunities for them. So I really love having them on the team.
Yeah, because I'll say, you know, I've called you a couple of times and I'm like, it's real estate. I'm burnt out.
Man.
Because it burns you out, especially when you're doing the same thing time and time and time again. And I mean, I'm grateful for the opportunities and everything that it grants me, you know, with not only the financial, but time freedom and freedom to kind of do our thing. But at a certain time, it's just like,
and that's kind of been our focus. I'm trying to set them up on the systems that it took me 4, 5, you know, years, whatever, to understand, oh, I should have had this. Oh, I should have had that. So I really have been trying to use their first couple of days, 90 days, to get those systems set up to where they don't get burnt out. You know, so I'm hoping it's working.
I mean, because just, you know, house to house to house to house to house all day, every day. Grateful because, you know, busy is good in our profession.
Amen.
Is when you're not doing anything, you ain't making no money because, you know, we are 100% commission.
And it can be a lot, like just kind of in general. Like it can be a lot to get burnt out. You can have, you know, all these leads come in and you getting excited and then you find out don't none of them have a credit score over 600. And then you like, damn, well, let me see what I can do. But, you know, it's really easy. And then, you know, driving around showing houses. I had I don't even know if I want to talk about this, but just in
might as well, let's go talk
so
about it.
I have a potential client who I've been, and I can honestly now see, in a previous episode we talked about buyer agency agreements. And I completely get now why Sheridan does that up front. I was trying to do it the way that you did it, which is, it might just be, you know, certain clients and certain people.
Yeah, everything works different.
Yeah,
Different strokes for different folks.
But I had someone that I was working with, showing houses to, and they finally got pre-approved, and they're working on trying to get more documents to get pre-approved for a higher amount. But I had to kind of have a talk with them because the people that she was working with, like her family is helping her find a house. And the language that they were using sometimes made me kind of question. Like, he would be like, well, yeah, I need to go talk to this agent and see. I'm talking to an agent on this day so we can try to get pre-approved for it. And I'm like, you're talking to another agent? He's like, oh, no, I meant a lender. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I told him, I was like, well, I kind of just came out and was like, well, we need to get a buyer agency agreement signed because, you know, I'm showing y'all these houses. And they kind of had the impression that whichever realtor shows you the house is the one that should get the commission. And I had to kind of explain to them, like, well, no, that's not how that works. If I'm the one that's, you know, that y'all are working with and I'm showing y'all, sending y'all houses and we've been on, you know, 10 showings and you go to an open house and it's an agent there and you like the house, you're going to get that agent the commission. That's not how that should work. So I now see why it's important to get that signed and made clear up front, because that would really.
And we can work with that. We can say, hey, let's make sure we on the same page. Let's do a consultation. I want to make sure you're successful. I want to make sure this or that, you know, whatever. However you got to do that to make sure both people have the boundaries and the expectations of what to expect.
Exactly.
And that's 100% that, because once, like I said, for me, I don't do it because, like, even today I showed a brand new person, you know, that's working to get pre-approved in that regards here. And like I said, I didn't make them sign it up front, but we have the expectation that we'll be working together. But it's also educating your client because they just don't know. They think you're only the agent for this house. No, I'm covering you as your side of the deal because every house you go to, they have an agent representing that particular seller.
Exactly.
For you, I cover any house that we go and see.
It's a lot of people who are like, what houses do you have for sale? Yeah. And that's one of the fun things. I'm a nerd. That's one of the fun things about educating people. I can be a listing agent, a buyer's agent, a leasing agent, whatever. My role depends on how I represent you in the deal when you're my client. So it doesn't matter what's out there, who has what listed, what is your goal, what are you trying to accomplish in real estate? That's what I'm going to help you do.
Exactly.
And I think, like, also when you explain to them, I'm licensed in both states, Kansas and Missouri. So I can find you a house in Kansas or Missouri. No matter what house we go to, I represent your best interest.
Right.
I'm here to help you out. They have somebody that's doing what's best for them. Mm-hmm. I'm here to what's best for you.
Right. And I can even help you if you want to buy a property in Texas.
Yeah, I can refer.
Yeah, I got referral partners.
Yep, I have people that I know that work in.
What you need.
I got what you need. Hey, I got it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've had, like I said, some time. Business is starting to pick up. I think, as we starting to get ready to transition into the spring months. I can already, I've been having a bunch of phone calls, and I want to go ahead and buy. And these are, obviously, as you get further along, you'll understand. Some of these people you'll be working with for forever, and then they'll go, "Hey, I'm gonna just hold off," and then you'll get a random. Hey, I think I'm ready to start looking again.
One day.
In that regard too. And it'll happen. And like I said, some of the people I've closed, been working with them for 3-4 years. And we looked for a little while, and then they wanted to take a break, and now we're back looking. Mm-hmm. It just happens that way.
Yeah.
I wish, everybody that we were looking right now, we found a house right now.
Right.
It's just not how it works. Mm-hmm. And then when that transition into what is our word of the day, which is equity.
Equity.
And that works twofold. And Ms. Monty has the official definition of equity.
Let me pull out my Palm Pilot.
Yeah, go ahead. What is the official definition of equity?
So, home equity is the market value of a homeowner's interest in their real property. That is the difference between the home's fair market value and the outstanding balance of all liens on the property.
Good job. Hey, good job.
I struggle with pronouncing
and fair
certain
market
words,
value
right?
Is
That's going to be what the house is worth and what it could sell for today. So case in point, let's say Amani bought a house 5 years ago for $100,000, right? Mm-hmm. She can now sell it in today's market with just the national appreciation of what that house is doing, what the market is doing. Let's say she could sell it for $200,000. Well, what she'll have is $100,000 in equity, at least, because when she bought it, it was at 100. And 200 is what it's worth now. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a little other factors that go into it, how much you put down on it, how much you paid down in the 5 years, your total balance that's due now. So let's say she only owes $75,000 just because it's a clean number. She now actually has $125,000 in equity. When she sells it, that's what she will make.
Cha-ching.
So now you can use that in different ways, to either buy other property. She could buy another house and be able to have that into this, so it makes her payment a little bit cheaper. But
leverage it.
You can definitely leverage that into other business ventures and different things like that. We were just talking off camera, but I actually have one of my best friends who was my client, who actually we bought in 2021. He bought in, I think it was like December, we closed in 2021. And he actually just refinanced, but he was able to take $75,000 in equity out of his house. And it only raised his payment $120 because I talked to him. I was like, well, why didn't you do a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit? So there's different ways to be able to check that. But, and I would tell you to talk to your lender to be able to see which route is best for you, especially with different interest rates. So it does raise, when you do a refinance and you pull that money out of the house, it does raise not only your payment, but it is also going to raise your interest rate on that particular house. Okay, so welcome. Hey, this is one of my clients.
You sold me my house. So I bought my house in 2009.
Uh-huh.
I bought it for $294.
2019, not 2009.
I was like, dang.
2019.
You got a lot of equity.
I just got appraised. Mm-hmm. It was $410.
Okay. Good investment.
And I only owe like $320.
Well, how do you owe $320? You bought it for $295.
I mean, because
you've been taking refinance.
You've been
No, I haven't. No.
Actually,
not $320. I owe less than that. I owe less than $294 on it. So you're telling me that I can take out a couple of hundred?
Yeah. You absolutely would.
Excuse me, sir.
Now, if you want to introduce
Can I make a
yourself
suggestion though?
I only take realtor advice from Willis.
No, this was gonna be my next point anyway.
Go ahead.
If you have that equity, and first of all, this is my opinion on it. Let's say you do pull it out for whatever reason. You want to just be able to pull it out because we know the market may shift or whatever. I highly suggest that money sitting in a savings account is not going to make you money. And I know one day we're going to have an investor episode. Yes. But if you have $200,000 sitting in equity, you can be making more money off that money. You could take $100,000 of it and go buy you a multifamily, a fourplex. Yeah, I agree. So if I was to, no. You got to take advice from Willis.
Willis, tell him to buy a multifamily.
I'm just gonna go spend it. I ain't gonna do nothing.
I wouldn't advise.
That makes me cringe. Just give it to me. I'll flip it for you, and then you can spend that.
It depends on what are you taking it out for? Just to take it out, then that doesn't make sense.
It could
have
though.
A plan.
If the market, like let's say for example, you in a neighborhood. Okay, let's say you're in Lakewood, and right now, Lakewood is not going to keep growing as much, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on where you're at in Lakewood. So while the market is up, refinancing and taking some of that equity out, if you know I don't believe in forever homes, but if you know it's going to be your forever home, take some of that equity out if you're going to be there quite some time and use that to go make investments. So if you know your home is not going to grow significantly more than these neighborhoods that are, turning over and homes are moving quickly, you don't have a lot of sales in your neighborhood, it doesn't make sense to leave that equity in the home if you want to grow your money.
Yeah.
And I'm on the fence about that.
It depends on the situation.
I'm like I said, because I don't believe in just taking it out without having a plan.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You got to have a plan. You got to put it to something.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be more real estate related. Obviously, with real estate agents, we want you to buy in that regards here. But, let's say you want a new car. You want, like I said, upgrade things on the house. You want to go on trips. You want to pay down debt. Things like that. There's multiple ways to be able to do it. And like I said, the amount that you're going to be going up on your actual mortgage is going to be well worth it.
I'm just saying, if you're sitting on it, and this is why, in my opinion, it don't matter if you've already bought your home or not, you should be in communication with your realtor every single year, talking about your investment, talking about your equity. Just because you bought the home and you aren't planning to move doesn't mean you shouldn't be checking in with your realtor, because there's some people that missed the wave on the low interest rates because they didn't have the conversation with their realtor, or there's some people who unfortunately had to go into foreclosure because they did the forbearance, on their home or whatever. So whatever can be, shameless plug, be talking to your realtor every single year about your investment. Just because you bought it and it's your forever home or whatever. Maybe you're not an investor, but something of that magnitude and that cost, you should always be talking to a professional about it, not just when you got something going on. You should have a yearly check-in.
A lot of people don't know, like even a homeowner didn't know like about that type of thing. So I feel like a lot of people that aren't homeowners just yet, they don't even know like about equity or that's even a thing. A lot of people see it as like, oh, it's just going to be another asset, or it's going to be another thing that I have to pay for and I have to, fix the maintenance up on. It's just going to eat away at my pockets. But even if you're not buying an investment property, purchasing a home can still be an investment. Like you still are
going to
it's always
making that
and like
equity.
I said, whether you upgrade, and like she said, there's other equity, not just the natural appreciation, but the sweat equity. Yeah. If I come in and replace the floors and paint and upgrade the kitchen, that's sweat equity.
You bought it way below the value.
I'm adding value to that property, what I know is going to pay off. And like I said, and obviously before you buy the house, obviously with your realtor, you should have a plan on knowing like this is something that could definitely make you money, because I'll have honest conversations with my clients like, hey, the two biggest return on investment typically are kitchens and bathrooms.
I had a couple, and it's still just, sometimes you just wish you could make somebody understand, but they gonna do what they want. We were looking in a neighborhood where this home was significantly below value, and even if they offered the ask price, and the home had been sitting, so I felt like we could have got it a little lower, and this is still when it was multiple offer situations more common.
Yeah.
I begged them. I said, and you got to get what you want. But at the end of the day, they were about to miss an opportunity where a home was like $260,000, $270,000. Homes in the area were $400,000. And it was a move-in ready home. It just was frozen in time is what I call it.
Needed a little work.
Yeah, it needed updating, but it was not tore up. You can have a home that's just, it was absolutely livable. It was frozen in time. It had everything original, but the homeowner had taken care of it. And I was like, if you make smart updates to this home, I mean, maybe even just $20,000, $30,000, not even that much. That would be a high-end update. Will make a huge difference. And now you have a home that you spent 2-3 months updating, or just even over time. And now it's worth what all the other homes in the neighborhood are worth.
Just that fast.
That's a smart.
That fast.
But you
spend money to
over $100K in equity.
When you have your realtor, you should be able to have an honest conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and realtors at times we don't, I guess, want to piss our clients off.
They didn't want to.
To some people,
it.
they don't want to. You don't want to piss them off, and then they like, wow, because they do have other options.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows multiple realtors.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not the only people you know. And so, you know, some people. Now, me, I don't mind pissing people off.
Well, you want a realtor that's going to educate you.
Exactly. I'm not a yes
Why would you
man.
want to buy one of the most expensive investments you'll ever make in your life and be with somebody or be with a realtor that is just going to tell you what you want to hear? No,
Exactly.
You need to be advised. That's why you signed that agency agreement, so you can be legally advised by them.
Exactly. And like I said, for me, you know, as Josh behind the camera will tell you, you know, I'm not a yes man. You know, I'm a give it back to you just as much as you give to me. Because this is a partnership. Yes, I work for you, but we're partners in this. My job is to help you buy, and your job is to buy it. But you're supposed to do it as sound advice. Now, do whatever you feel, because this is going to be something you're paying on. But I'm not just going to go away and just tell you, that's amazing.
That's almost like if you were, and then also, it's almost like going and paying for a financial advisor, or you go and pay for an accountant, or you go pay for any type of person that's providing a fiduciary service. And, you know, your advisor is telling you, you know, well, this is what I would do. You know, I'm going to put your money in whatever, you know, investments, whatever mutual funds you tell me, but this is what I think is the best option. And you say, nah, I think we should just throw everything in, you know, in A. Instead of going with what your advisor is telling you, I feel like people don't look at, even though they might know that a realtor is, you know, there to give you advice, a lot of people think they're just there, that we're just here to handle the paperwork and all the things that people don't want to do. But we're here to advise you the same way, you know, your financial advisor advises you, your accountant advises you for those type of things. We're just dealing with homes. So, you know, you can do whatever you want, but if, you know, my thing is, if you wouldn't go against what your financial advisor is saying, why would you go against what your realtor is telling you? Yeah, your doctor, your therapist, your psychiatrist. Like, you know, we're specialists in these certain areas for a reason. We're not just gonna come out and just tell you something just to tell it to you. We're telling it to you for a reason. So.
Right.
Well, that leads me into, I had a question that was submitted. And I was like, I wanted to wait until.
We excited.
I was like, I wanted to wait until I got here. And it was
I
a
got a
serious
question
that made me think, because I reacted first in my mind like, no. And the question was, do you feel as black realtors that our opinion is sometimes questioned more than white realtors? Because and I was like, whoa. I was like,
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, this is a relationship business.
Yeah.
When your client has chosen you to help them with this decision, I don't think that that's necessarily on their mind at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe in the initial, you know, but by the time they are your client, I don't think they're hopefully looking at it that way. Now, maybe when you make your initial contact,
they could have chosen anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why would they choose you and then basically discriminate against you when they're the ones that chose you, when they could have just easily went and got a white realtor if that was what they were gonna do?
Right.
Yeah, and that's because when it first came in, I was like, no. I'm like, but then I thought, I was like, for me, I've never encountered that situation, but I can't speak for, because we are such a small population of realtors, black realtors.
I think that would happen with their initial choice. Did they go with, not that they have to, you never know why someone chose the person they chose, but with their initial choice, were they willing to work with you over a counterpart in general?
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and like I said, because when I first heard the question, and it made me think, like I said, I haven't encountered where I've had that issue, because my name and merit speaks for itself. And when you have that conversation with me, you understand I do have the knowledge of what I'm talking to.
We say it all the time, your vibe attracts your tribe.
You know, in that regards here. And so, I mean, there are certain horror stories that are probably out there. Right. You know, everybody probably has them. You know, I should have chose somebody who had my best interest. I feel like they were only after the money or saw me as a dollar sign.
That's why a lot of people don't like realtors in general. Or they have
sales.
A preconceived
notion.
It's
anybody in sales.
That's true.
In that regard, so it's not just realtors.
Right.
Because car salesmen, you know, IT sales, what Josh does behind the camera, in that regard, here, it's sales.
But the difference between us and other salespeople you typically are not signing a contract with the person that you go buy a car from.
Yeah.
I don't owe any loyalty to you if I go test drive that car.
Yeah.
A realtor, you do have an agreement, whatever that may be, and that's why that should come with another level of respect. I recently, you know, I had this conversation with you the other day. I had a situation where I'm gonna be having a listing coming on, and the guy was like, Sheridan, my house has been on the market since October and it's not selling. I would like to go in a different direction. Come to find out, his house was never put on the MLS, was never put on the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my face on the phone.
I had to call Willis. I was like, have you heard of this agent? Like, what's up with this? This looks shady. The sign don't even look right. And come to find, I'm looking for it. And maybe, to be fair, maybe they had a private, I don't care to see your before paperwork. Just like, if I'm dating somebody, I don't care what your previous girlfriend looked like.
Yeah.
Like, but my thing is, I don't want to see your paperwork. I just want to know that you don't currently have anything signed.
Right.
So he could have had like a private listing with them and then broke the law and had a sign in the yard or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you should be able to trust these people. And I'm going to encourage the public watching this. If somebody's doing something shady, report them. Because
Always.
you know,
I don't mind.
I'm saying, like, it helps everybody in the market to report shady realtors, period. Not just, oh, you get a weird feeling, but like, did they do something that straight up wronged you and caused you to lose money? In my case, I personally think my seller should probably somehow sue that man because he believed his house was on the market. And all I could think was like, did you go over there to do the paperwork and like literally forgot about it? Like, you missing out on money.
There's no way as a realtor that you can forget to put it in the MLS.
Like
it has
be
to
for
be,
real.
and it has to be. It has to be more to the story.
There was no lockbox.
Yeah, I mean when you
and
when you
that's
call
thing
me,
I said, but the sign's in the yard, and he told me, he was like, "Oh, it expired. I'm gonna come get my sign." Come on,
it expired, but you never put it on the. That's definitely shady because even if you did forget, you're not gonna just say the listing expired because you would have had to have a date that you put it in there for it to expire. Mm-hmm. It would have had to have been listed at for the terms that were in whatever contract you signed on how long you was gonna have it listed in there. So
and those signs are not cheap. They not like, oh, I'm stressed to go get my sign right now, but they're not cheap to just be like, let it sit over there way after it expired.
Yeah,
maybe you just got it like that.
I mean, or unless you're not doing enough business and you just like whatever.
Which is again shady.
Could be,
shady. It's illegal.
So
we can get $1,000 fine for a sign being in the yard when it's not listed. So
like, were you just trying to get people to call the number on there and you get you some buyer clients and you didn't actually?
I mean, Willis know the man, so
I have. I've done business with him.
You have?
I have, and so that's what shocked me when she told me that. Because I'm like, she was like, is this a real agent? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it looks shady. It looks shady to me. I could look him up.
And so, so there are a couple things that we were discussing, a couple topics that we wanted to run through today just to be able to have some conversations with you guys. And the first thing that we wanted to talk about is common questions that sellers typically ask before they list their homes. Because that is typically putting your house in the best light, or, what do I need to do? And so Sheridan does have a couple questions because she was researching it and, common questions that are there. So, Ms. Sheridan, go ahead.
You want me to just like read a couple, or you want me to read like all 10 at this?
I mean, obviously not all 10,
okay.
But which ones are interesting.
So number one is going to be, what's my home worth? Mm-hmm. Which is why I said, checking with your realtor all the time. How long will it take to sell my home? What should I do to prepare my home for sale? Mm-hmm. Should I make any repairs or improvements? What's the market like? What's going on in my neighborhood? Mm-hmm. How do I price my home? Mm-hmm. I'm going to just read them all. They not.
Might as well go ahead.
What kind of marketing will you do to sell my home?
Okay.
That's big.
How much will it cost to sell my home? How much do I pay you? Mm-hmm. What are the most common contingencies that buyers include in their offers? I don't think that's a common question in my opinion, but I don't think most sellers ask that.
No.
How can I best prepare the home for inspection or for showings or whatever?
That's a big one. So there's a couple of them in there. Obviously you've heard some of them. I've heard a lot of those. Obviously, what is my house worth? And that's fine because us as your realtors, we can run a market analysis and see what your home is worth. Don't trust Zillow. Because Zillow's going to give you one.
Please.
Realtor, Redfin, you look it up.
Zillow.
Everybody going to have different ones. We typically can take specific numbers from the MLS, from sold houses, and be able to run and know typically what an appraiser is thinking. You know, and that's when I run my numbers is based off of more so what an appraiser would see. So I run off of typically they go over the last 3 to 6 months is what I should say. And they usually look within a miles radius, within the same similar bedrooms, bathrooms, upgrades, square footage, things of those natures. And that's how we can actually do it, to be able to give you a true value. Now, also, there was another question you had mentioned when you were like, how much do I pay you? Everything is negotiable. My price and what you're comfortable with, we should have that discussion and be able to come to an agreement on what you think you should be able to pay me, because I'll tell you why I'm worth what I'm worth.
I do packages. I do levels. If you want this level, this is what come with this price. If you want this level, this will come with this price.
Speak on that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
So okay, so let's say you have an investor, and it's gonna be under $100,000. I have a flat fee.
Yeah,
you know, because I'm gonna put the same amount of work in for this property as I would a $400,000 property, and it's not gonna be. I'm just being honest, the biggest payout. Then I have a level of this percentage. This is what comes included in this percentage. I have a level of this percentage, which most people are gonna pick. This is what comes in this level, this percentage. And then I have this percentage. This is what comes in this. I mean, you get the point. And it just depends on how they feel. I put it back on them. Like, they might feel a certain way, and I feel like giving them that option helps them to feel empowered, in my opinion. If you feel like this is the best way to market your home, because their opinion matters.
Right.
This is their investment. This is where they most likely lay their head. And I think that they should be able to come to you and say, you know what? I think at this amount that you know what I'm saying? Like, so I do have packages that I provide them. If price becomes a topic, I generally tell them this amount because this is my typical services. But if we need to talk differently, then here's this price. If you do this price, it's gonna come with staging.
And we could work something out.
You know what I mean? So,
but the last thing you want to do is lowball yourself, and I don't think y'all do that. I'm just kind of speaking in general, because you'll have some people where it's just like, well, I just want the listing, or I just want this, so I'll do it for this percentage, or I'll do it for barely anything, just so that
you can have
just so that you can have it, and that you can say this is something that I sold, and that you can have that kind of in your quote unquote portfolio,
right?
Of houses sold, but you have to realize how much work actually goes into. A lot of people have a misconception that we just throw a sign in the yard, we take a couple pictures, and that's it. But for instance, for any listing that I get, I refuse to have photos taken that are not by a professional real estate photography company. So I'm not just gonna go in and take some pictures, and sometimes I see the MLS and it's pictures of the floor and a picture of a light switch that's upside down, and I'm just like, things like that. You just have to make sure that they understand, the work, the amount of work, not even just work, the amount of money that you're actually going to be spending out of your own pocket before the house even sells, if it does sell, to market their house and to get their house sold. It's not just as simple
people got lazy. I mean, I was seeing $500,000 homes. No knock against iPhone cameras at all. As long as someone knows what they're doing.
Yeah, some people take nice photos.
Nice, but it's nothing.
For your average person, they're not a professional photographer.
It's nothing that makes a nice.
These photos
exactly.
And that's also, I had that question with because I typically pay for every listing photo that I do. Yeah. Because
the photos are not that expensive.
And I mean, we use the same person, Tracy Thompson.
I use Tracy. I use a couple.
So Tracy, love Tracy. Her work has been amazing. So she's the only I've delayed going to the market until Tracy can. Because my thing is, it's an investment.
Yes.
If I'm not willing, and they really only cost me $150 to do professional photos.
To me, as an agent, when you take on a listing, you take pride in that listing.
Yeah, that's
it's like your
because these photos
home.
are going to be out here.
I want to be the best listing that hit the market that weekend. And I want people to be like, oh, that looks real nice.
I want to build up a hype around it. When I had my first listing, I was like, I'm going to build up a hype around it to where, we'll put it on the pre-MLS with just one picture of the front, not the inside just yet. And I'm going to send it out. I think I sent out an email blast. Like, if you have a buyer for this house, yada, yada, yada. Then we came and had the professional pictures took, and I'm like, wow, like that original first impression, because you could have a beautiful home, and if the pictures are, SHITTY, they're not gonna want to go see it. They're not even gonna want to go see the house. So then you have people that aren't even interested in going to go look and see if it would be, and you could have a house.
It could be. It's pictures that are really nice and still don't do the home justice.
Exactly,
yeah, absolutely. Because and that's when we tell our clients, the first time you want to buy this house is through pictures.
And you like. You looking like I could put my bed right here. This could be the kids' room.
I'm sending this to the wife.
This my
She's
family
looking
room.
at it. We discussing. We can start picturing where this stuff goes. But if I don't get excited about pictures, then it's like,
I don't want to go see
it. My favorite thing is selling a home. Like, it sounds so cliche or silly, but I feel like when I'm about to hit the market with a listing, it's kind of like when you got a new outfit you want to show off.
Yeah.
Like, it feels good
Not
to
me.
be like
I get nervous.
To me, it feels good about, like, when you about to have your listing going to be like, okay, I want to try and bring my that makes me feel good. I take pride in it. I know agents that will make sellers change the color of the light bulbs to make sure that they match, and that's how much pride they take in it. Yeah. And, like going back to what you was talking about with listing price, yeah, sales is good, but for me, it be a gut feeling. I tell my sellers, we don't sit on the market. I don't sit on listings. Yeah, we're going to sell your home for what it's supposed to sell for, because I want to get the most money in your pocket, because since we're priced right, that's what's going to bring our buzz. That's what's going to bring all of them sales, whether it is a multiple, a crazy market or not. What we kept calling crazy market. But, like, I take pride in my listings, and it gives me goosebumps. That's what I get excited about. Let my seller know, hey, we got a good offer. Mm-hmm. You're gonna feel good about this one. I cannot wait to present it to them. Right.
I felt good. Like when I presented my sellers, and I'm like, we got an offer. Like, this is the first offer. We literally just went live 12 hours ago, and I have an offer in hand for the full price, no contingencies. And I'm like, y'all could do what y'all want, but if I'm y'all, I'm signing this offer. Yeah. And they're like, well, we trust your judgment. Go ahead. And it gave me so, what's the word for it? It gave me so much happiness to know that not only did I get the offer so quick, but it was for the full offer price, the price that we were looking to get, and it had no contingencies. It just really felt good to be able to present that to them, and I didn't even tell them. I didn't even tell them until after that was my very first, not only listing, but real estate transaction. Literally right after they got done closing and we got done taking our pictures, I'm like, I cannot thank y'all enough for putting y'all trust in me and, basically trusting me with the sale of your first ever house that you guys ever owned. And then I told them that was my first transaction, and they were like, what? And I was like, we would have never, like, if you hadn't told us, we would have never known that was your first, because you just seemed so confident and was able to just handle everything so efficiently. And that really, really made me feel good. And that's when I think I knew for sure that I was in the right business at that first closing. So,
and I would say for me, I'm always nervous because I'm such a control freak. My wife knows. I'm such a control freak on everything I do, especially business-wise, because my name is attached to this.
Yeah.
And so every part of this thing, I don't really sleep the night before. I already know none of my listens have
ever. It feel like the night before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, none of my listens have ever sat on the market longer than a week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. None of them. Yeah. Because one thing, I'm a stickler of my numbers. I know we're priced right. I know my pictures are flawless. I know we did everything to put ourselves in a position.
Box set up.
We've done everything.
My description is putting a picture in your head of you sitting in there in front of that fireplace in the wintertime. We was coming up on winter. I'm like, imagine you sitting next to this fireplace with your cup of hot coffee, hot cocoa, with your Christmas tree up, and you putting that image in their head, like, to where they
make sure y'all getting them good grades, since I got you the Xbox.
Well, for me is I don't control it after it goes live.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what makes me nervous about any time I've ever done a listing. Is because with buyers, we control everything. We control when the inspections is, the closing day. We got the lender. We know all this stuff.
I think me and you opposites on that.
Yeah,
I feel like somebody wants to buy a home. A buyer, I can't control if you go apply for a boat.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying that's just because I can help control all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they depend on me. On the seller, all of your work is really done before it hits the market.
Yeah.
And so,
and you even invest a little money.
Exactly. So once it hits the market, you're kind of hands off.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so that's what
I can't control what happens from here.
Exactly. And that's what makes me nervous about any listing I've ever done. No matter, I already know everything's going to work out. It's just real estate in that regard. But for me, I literally get nervous. I'm like, and then like if I don't got somebody scheduled in the first hour, I'm like,
now
oh,
that's
man.
the nerve-wracking part.
I'm like, come on, man.
When you ain't no showing scheduled today,
and like 1 o'clock, you like,
ain't no showings.
do I got it blocked? Is it blocked? Am I? Yeah.
Am I checking?
Oh yeah, I would call my mom like, Mama, hey, I need you to check showing time. Well, at the time it was showing time, I'm like, call showing time. Make sure everybody.
Make sure. Is you sure that it's?
I'm like, go look this up on Realtor. Is it still up? I'm like, okay.
Now that's the nerve-wracking part when you don't have like a flood of showings in the beginning. Yeah. But you know what? All you need is one offer.
Mine was literally everything kind of literally happened super fast. I was literally celebrating the fact that my listing went live. I was like, I'm about to just go to the bar and shots on me. My first real estate listing is live.
Commission yet?
I'm like, I ain't even. I'm just celebrating it going live, and then I get a call, and I'm like, who the hell is this? She's like, yeah. She was like, I'm here at your property, and I'm like, you there in my property? I got showings. I didn't expect it to happen so fast. I checked, and I'm like, it was 4 showings the first day. I was like, what? Okay. She was like, I'm expecting. She said, my client's not here yet, but I'm expecting to have an offer to you. Nice. And she called me back and was like, I'm going to have an offer sent to you in the next hour. And I was still out, and I was like, time for more shots.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're a baller. See, for me, I was, I don't know, what was my first? I don't know. It's been so long ago, so I remember my first one. No, I do.
I'm always remember my first one.
It was over in Waldo area, off of, I think it's like 78th over there. And my seller, his name was Gabe. And so I went over his house and didn't know anything. Had no idea what I'm doing. But the confidence in me won't tell him.
Like, I'm going to get this house sold.
I'm like, so I would go over there and I'm like, yeah, this is what I think the house is worth. Because I had already done the numbers. Like I prepared like I was about to do a test. So I'm like, had my numbers ran. I printed out up the comps so I could be able to show him and this and that. So he was like, yeah, he's like, why should I go with you? And I'm like, why not me? That's the first thing. And before I said it, I was like, why not me? And he was like, well, what do you mean by that? I was like, my experience. I was like, nobody can get this so quicker than you do. I mean, than I can. So I'm like, so I'm going over there, and I mean, I'm just laying it on thick. Like, hey, this is what it is. I got my own photographer, and at the time, I wasn't making a lot of money. And so I'm like, I didn't promise a photographer to come in and do all this stuff. And he was like, all right, I'll give you a shot. It was like a $200,000 house. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, who do I know that can even do photography? I didn't even know somebody that can even do it. And so I started going through Facebook, and I remember it was a guy that I went to high school with. His name was Clarence Lomax.
Clarence, my baby, Earl.
Yeah, so Clarence actually was my first photographer on my real estate transaction.
He's the one who did our videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was my guy. He actually did it, came through. Everything looked amazing. We actually ended up getting that thing the first day on the market.
You had an offer?
Had an offer. His name is Kirk Hushin. That's my guy. So he ended up literally, because he had came and saw it, and his client didn't like it. Then he called me back. He's like, hey, do y'all have any offers? And I bluffed. I'm like, yeah, we got 2 coming in. I'm like, we got 2
That's
coming
illegal.
in.
Report him.
I was like, we got 2 coming in. I didn't tell him we had them in hand. I said, we're expecting
like
2.
We expecting. That's the key. We're expecting.
Yeah, we're expecting 2 coming in.
I can't stand y'all.
And so he was like, okay, well, I got another client that want to see it tonight. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, come on back.
Come see.
So he come back. He actually saw it. They client loved it. I'm like, send us the best offer you got.
Yeah.
So he sent it in, strong offer, clean, super straight to the point. And I was like, y'all need to take it.
Side note.
You told him, I told you, why not go with me?
Yeah.
Side note.
Will is closed, dude.
You can always tell when an agent don't really have offers in hand when they be like, we expecting to, and they might be if it's fresh on the market.
Now
but I hate when a realtor, and sometimes it do happen when it's been on the market 2 weeks and then they all of a sudden got offers in.
I've seen,
but it do happen.
I've seen stuff be on the market 80 days and like, well, we're expecting. I'm like, you ain't expecting.
It do happen.
No, real talk.
It be that one time you don't believe it.
No, real talk. My mom and dad who are under contract. We were supposed to close this Monday coming up, but it got pushed because of the appraisal. But we went to go see this house on the market for 164 days.
Went under contract.
We get there, we see it. I'm telling the guy, hey, as soon as I get home, we'll write an offer for it.
That's so rude.
He tells me, yeah, well, we got an offer coming in. I'm like, whatever. It's been on the market 164 days. Yeah, I was going to have an offer. It would already be in there.
The house would have been
so they actually got another offer.
Dang.
That's what happened to me when I bought my house.
And then they ended up getting 4 other offers the
same
day.
It sometimes happens like that.
But it will always seem like no matter when you go see a house,
and
not
see,
everybody
you got to look at them
house.
days on market, because if you getting close to them days on market, it makes sense that soon they're going to get an offer. But when I bought my house had been on, this is 2017, my house had been on 120 days. The day I got pre-approved to go, because I did what we're not supposed to do. I looked at the house.
Looking at house first.
Well, the funny thing about I got to tell my home story one day, but the funny thing about my house was I was a new agent. I had been licensed like a year and a half, and I was like, okay, this year I'm going to take my career to the next level. I'm going to go preview houses. That's when you could preview houses. That's coming back. But I'm going to preview houses so I know what's out there, blah, 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 blah. And so I walked in and I was like, I want this house.
Yeah, like.
So then I called my lender, the only lender partner I had back in the day. And I was like, Jewel, how do I, She gets me pre-approved. And I'm like fresh. Like, I really don't even know how to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm trying. Like, I didn't close like 2 or 3 deals, but I'm still trying to learn the process. Yeah. I don't know what to look for on the commitment and stuff like that. And so I go to put my offer in, and the status changes. And this is the crazy thing about my house. It was under contract for a good 3 months. And it never sold. And I was calling. I know I was wearing that man out. I was calling him every day. Is it still? Is it still? Is it still? And I was like, that was the first time I felt like truly speaking something. Actually, yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Like, my first two listing appointments, and I cannot remember for the life of me my first listing that was like an actual listing. But my first listing appointment, the next day they canceled.
What?
I was brand new. First of all,
so heartbroken.
Listen, it was 2015. I couldn't believe it was 2015, and I don't even know how I got this client. They called me. I had been posting my stuff everywhere, and this is before people was even posting real estate on social media.
Yeah,
and so I go there. I walk the property, and I asked my broker, like, what do I do? That's a whole nother story, but she was like, just keep talking, just do this, do that. And like, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like, please go with me.
Yeah.
She didn't go with me. I'm sure they picked up on that, but they did sign the paperwork. And then the very next day, the lady said, I want you to come by here when you get off work. And I was like, okay. She was like, it's sad, 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 but we not going to sell. And I'm like, I think her granddaughter talked her out of it. She was like, I'm going to sell it to my son you saw downstairs. And I wish I would have looked it up later. I didn't know how to look it up back then.
To see if they had listed it or not?
Yes. And then my second listing appointment was in the paddock.
Did they actually sell it to somebody else?
I don't know. I never went back. I couldn't even tell you the address. It was off of Blue Ridge, though. So the second listing appointment I ever had was like a few months after that, and I was sending these letters, and I really need to get back to doing this because snail mail is in, and I would put nickels on the letter or pennies, whichever, and I would say, I bet you wish you had a nickel for every letter you get from a realtor or whatever. And like it stuck out. Yeah. It got expensive, but it stuck out.
Yeah. Not bad.
This lady called me, and she lived in a paddock in Lee Summit, right next to the pool. I will never forget it. You know where the paddock is? No. It's a nice area in Lee Summit, okay? Mm-hmm. And so we walk in, and I'm doing my best. You know, I just got my little paper thing, and this is when, not iPads hadn't just came out, but if you doing a presentation on an iPad, that made you look like something.
Yeah.
So this is when I knew I didn't get the listing.
Like, dang, I get the paper flipped.
Exactly. This is how I knew I didn't get the listing. She was like, well, we have a black neighbor that we like. And you have the same look on you. I was like, what? Okay. She's like, so we do like black people.
Oh, no.
That's when I knew I didn't get the listing. I knew immediately.
Sure
and then
didn't.
and then I'm so young at this point and so green that I just let her talk to me for 30 minutes about how she like black people. And I wish I would have just left. I wish, like, why am I here wasting our time? I'm not gonna lie.
Why did
Till
she
this
have you
day,
come see the house
listen,
anyway?
till this day, it is my desire to sell a home in the paddock. Not just a home, but I want to sell that home. I'm sure she sold it years ago. She was old. But, like, ironically, this past Sunday, I was at a bridal shower at the paddock that was right across from the pool, and I'm like, okay, my time is coming. I'm selling a home in the paddock to close that circle, but anyway.
That was enough. She said, I have a black neighbor I like.
Yeah, I was just like, and it was weird because it was around the corner from where I grew up. You know, like, I grew up in Charleston Park. It was the paddock. It's right across Langsford. So why would I think
so
anything of it?
Did she not know you was black before you got there?
Exactly. That's a very good question.
Like, did she not?
But girl, this how green I was.
That's why I try to put my picture on
It was on
the
my
last
stuff.
thing I needed to be pulling up, and they like, who is this jigaboo?
I was so green when I tell you the wind. It was like in a movie when somebody's brand new. The wind blew and my papers flew. My cards went everywhere.
Oh, God.
I'm not lying.
So you looking real unorganized
looking,
coming up to this
and
house.
I'm like, but I tried it though. I mean,
I would've looked
the
out the window
paddock
like,
in your
you know.
first year,
No one's home.
and it's 2015, and you how was I was really young, you know. So it was just.
Oh, you old now?
Shut up. I'm just saying, like, I wish I would have been more prepared. I wish that somebody would have prepared me, because back then that would have been an amazing commission, and that was when the paddock wasn't even $300,000 yet. You know, these are $500,000 homes now. You know, but
Yeah, that's crazy that I like black people.
girl, I knew I didn't get that.
So obviously with sellers in
I'm
that
looking. I
regard
like
too.
white people.
So what
So
are
what
some?
we doing?
What are some? Another question I get asked often to a lot of people. What are some things that we can do that are inexpensive to be able to give the max value to our house? Because there's some sellers that just don't have the budget, you know, to be able to.
Well, Compass has a program where we can help
I
you
was
to give your
just
your
about.
Talk about it.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
about to
shameless
say
plug.
because I've been.
Go ahead, shameless.
Take it.
I missed that freaking Compass Concierge class because I forgot and I
I'll
was
jump
in
in
a
where I can
meeting.
help you.
But so Compass Concierge, you know, if you go with a Compass agent, we have a program that is dedicated to sellers where they will front you the cost of pretty much anything that will help you sell the house, whether that be staging, painting, landscaping,
putting a Tesla in the driveway.
So people like, ooh, that's nice. Literally anything that will make your house look better to potential buyers, they will front you the money for it, and you pay it back once the house sells. So
with your net sales, the theory
Yes.
is that when you do these improvements, whether it's because you need a dog walker or you want to get a pre-inspection, whatever it may be,
Yes.
it should net your home more money once you sell the home.
Exactly, and they take essentially the money back out of whatever that net amount is. I don't even think there's based on the information, and we gonna contact Compass Concierge directly, but I don't even think they charge any like hidden fees or anything.
I don't think you have to have a certain credit score.
Anything like that. So if you want to sell your house and you either you need some updates or some upgrading or some renovations, or you don't need it but you would prefer to do that so that you are able to earn more money on the sale of your house, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to help you out.
hey, you know what? I appreciate that because that is something that we are going to talk about a little bit more in probably a future episode and probably dig a little bit more deeper into that. As we get ready to wrap up this episode today.
Wait, to answer your question, things that I think you could do that I'm really passionate about.
Okay, so, as we get ready to wrap up, filming for today, we will come back and talk about these opportunities on what are maximum things to be able to sell your house. How can I get the most bang for my buck? Because everybody want to make money. I mean, that's what it is.
It's time.
And spring is coming. The flood of buyers, tax season here. People getting ready to buy. So we want to be able to help you. So we will come back and we'll have some other people in our future episode to be able to help maximize. Give us a little tidbits on things to be able to do to be able to really maximize it. Once again, we thank you for tuning in.
And make sure you come back and subscribe and like and turn on
share,
notifications
and share
and heart.
Just send it to
And
your
comment
mama.
questions.
And comment your questions.
Anybody. We definitely thank you guys. We don't take it for granted. the time that you guys spend watching us and the time that we make to be able to create it. We appreciate you. We thank you. Tune in next time. We out.
For real.
We out for real.